What is going on, guys? Happy weekend. Hope you guys are having an awesome weekend. To celebrate this magnificent weekend, we are bringing not just any Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire Wi-Fi battle, but a really special one. Today we're up against Hitos, and Hitos has the Krookodile, the Mega Heracross, the Drapion, the Greninja, the Zoroark, and Goodra. Sorry about that. But anyways, my opponent really loves dark types. If you don't realize, he has 4 dark types: the Krookodile, the Drapion, the Greninja, and Zoroark. I'm bringing a really awesome team myself. I got the Skarmory, Donphan, Emboar, Mega Venusaur, Umbreon, and Jellicent. Let's get right onto it. What really flips me is not just that my opponent has 4 dark types, but he has that Zoroark. It could potentially be almost anything. He's gonna lead off with the Krookodile. Now, this could actually be the Zoroark. I let off with my Skarmory because I want to set up Stealth Rocks. Now, usually, Skarmories are weak to, Fire Blast or Flamethrower, which Zoroark obviously knows, but I do have Sturdy. Turns out, my opponent went for a Dig. I'm like, okay, not really sure why. Perhaps that's a misclick, but regardless, I'm gonna get my Layer of Rocks. Obviously, I'm good to go, he just went for a ground type move, and I'm free to just go for a Brave Bird. I know it's not going to do anything, especially since Krookodile just lowered my attack, but there's really no point for me to not stay in, so I grab as much as I can do, and yeah, I got my rocks up. That's pretty good. I'm pretty sure my opponent doesn't have a Defogger or a Spinner. Yes, now he knows. And he does not misclick, and he does go for a Crunch. He gets a nice crit, but at the same time, I need to go for a Whirlwind. I can't do anything to this Krookodile, so hopefully I don't send out the Zoroark. Here comes the Greninja, but regardless, Greninja can still do quite a lot to me. A Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, or even, Hydro Pump can do quite a lot to Skarmory. I have to get out of here. I'm only physically defensive, so I'm going to go into Umbreon now to pretty much eat up any special attack. Turns out this is an offensive Greninja, and it goes for a Smackdown. That's actually really smart, because now if he had went for a Smackdown to my Skarmory, I would have been a pure Steel type, no longer flying. That's how Smackdown works. It's really awesome to see a physical Greninjas. You don't see physical Greninjas too much. Turns out he went for a Substitute. Now it's very dangerous. Had I went for a Toxic, that would have been a wasted turn, but I actually went for a Wish. I actually don't have Toxic on this Umbreon, so that's kind of sweet. I'm glad I didn't go for a Toxic. Not that I have it, I suppose. And I thought, well, I only have Foul Play as my attack, and I know for a fact it's not going to break the sub, so I have to go back into Skarmory. My Skarmory does have Whirlwind, so I can just whirl the fuck out of this Substitute. It's really sweet. I really love moves like Whirlwind and Roar, because it not only just breaks Substitute, but it's just very convenient when you already have Rocks or Spikes. I grab that Wish, and now I'm at full. That also activates my Sturdy once again. He is going to go for a Smackdown. That's a little bit, it's a bummer, since now I am just a pure Steel type, no longer flying, but whatever. I grab this opportunity to go for that Whirlwind and get that stupid Substitute out of here. And my opponent now rolls into Heracross. Now, I don't know if this Heracross could be a Zoroark. I'm really paranoid here. Thanks to that Smackdown, I am not at full HP, so a Flamethrower from Zoroark could potentially kill. I don't want to risk it. I'm going to switch out in case this is a Zoroark, and I'm going to have to go into Jellicent. If he does stay in with a real Heracross, which it actually is, he might just hit me with a fighting move or whatnot. Regardless, Jellicent is a great switch to either Zoroark or Heracross. Turns out he did go for a fighting move. That's great. I'm just going to go for a Scald because I want to burn that Heracross. My opponent knows a little bit better than that, and now he's going to go into the Goodra. That's very smart. Goodra will eat it up really nicely. But turns out, I do go for a Scald, and yes, it does a lot, but as it reveals, it is a Zoroark. Zoroark does not take Scald that well, my friends, so I do get hit by a Shadow Ball, but I am actually especially defensive, guys, so it's not going to do too much, and I do finish it off, so who knew? Who knew Jellicent could actually take down Zoroark? Zoroark does have paper thin defenses, but yeah, it was thanks to that switch in, I was able to just 2-hit KO it. If you guys haven't noticed, my team is actually quite beefy. They're all just, really fat and take good hits. I kind of like it, actually. You just go for the Goodra. Keep in mind, I am specially defensive, but he does have that stab Dragon Pulse. It's going to do an alright amount, but still not quite enough. I do successfully land my Toxic, thank God. Sometimes I hate it when I just miss my Toxic, Will-O-Wisp, and you know, everything. But luckily I did land it. And yes, he is going to get hurt. Obviously, next turn, I'm going to go for the Recover. That's how you play it, guys. And he does go for a Rock Slide, so it's a mixed Goodra. That's pretty sweet. But even so, even if I am only specially defensive, I still take a Rock Slide pretty darn well. Do not be fooled by Jellicent, guys. It looks fucking weird, and I don't even understand why Jellicent wears a crown on his head, but it's pretty damn sweet. He actually keeps staying in. I mean, you know, not that I blame him, honestly. This Jellicent is walling the shit out of everything on his team almost, so there's no point about it. Yes, I keep using Scald instead of Shadow Ball simply because I'm really afraid that my opponent's going to send out the Drapion or the Krookodile. Obviously, if I go for a Shadow Ball on the Krookodile or Drapion, it's not going to do anything, and then he can potentially outspeed me and just go for a knockoff or a crunch or something. Turns out he doesn't go for either Krookodile or Drapion. He goes into the Greninja. You know, that's expected because I haven't revealed that I have Shadow Ball yet. I've only revealed that I have Skull as my attacking move. So Greninja will, you know, eat up the Skull really well. And he does have, and he is physical, guys, so he actually might just go for a Night Slash or something. I have to get out of here expecting like a Night Slash. Defensive Skarmory. Turns out he went for a Smackdown again. That's a really good prediction there, my opponent. And now I am pure Steel type once again. But I'm gonna stay in, guys. You know, he could do all things. He can switch out, or he can actually set up a substitute. Turns out he actually went for a Water Shuriken. Water Shuriken looks pretty damn sweet. I haven't seen Water Shuriken in a really long time. It's a pretty sweet move. It's kind of underrated, but even so, Skarmory will take it really well. Skarmory is physical, after all. And I do go for a Brave Bird, and from this range, I should be able to kill it. Down goes the Greninja. Thank God, finally. I do get a little bit more recall damage, but at the same time, you know, Leftover is good. Sometimes I do like to strap Leftovers or Rocky Helmet on my Skarmory. I'm not really sure which one's better. Honestly, they're both really good on Skarmory. Here comes a Drapion now. Obviously, Drapion can learn Fire Fang, but I am physical. Turns out he doesn't have Fire Fang, he has Ice Fang. And he does get that crit. It's a sniper crit. So instead of doing twice the amount of damage, he's going to do 3 times the damage thanks to critical. And thankfully for my opponent, this recall damage is kicking my ass. Now, one more Brave Bird might or might not kill it. He does keep using Ice Fang, and I'm really scared of getting flinched or frozen here. But luckily I don't, and I do get that roost. Also, he didn't get that critical. That's really sweet. Scope Lens Drapion can be really fucking scary. So he will no longer use Ice Fang. He does go for that Night Slash. Stab, critical, Night Slash, and that almost fucking takes care of me. Like, holy shit. And with this Brave Bird, it's actually not quite enough to kill this Drapion, and I'm sitting at a huge pickle here with my Skarmory. Honestly, his next Night Slash might just kill me. Crit or without a crit, I have to switch out. And I'm gonna go into the Emboar. I want to showcase everything on my team. So I'm gonna showcase my Emboar, not expecting the Night Slash. Turns out my opponent actually went for a Toxic Spikes. I'm like, fucking damn it. I could have stayed in with my Drapion and go for a Roost. Regardless, I'm gonna go for the Flare Blitz, whatever, you know, it'll hit almost anything on his team, and there's no point for him to stay in with his Drapion with that speck of HP, so. Unfortunately, he finally has a layer of Toxic Spikes. Kind of fucking dangerous. Now here comes the Krookodile. I'm stuck onto Choice Scarf, so technically I can't even use Superpower. I'm stuck onto it, and I can only use Flare Blitz. And he did just drop my attack, so my Flare Blitz obviously cannot kill, and he just might kill me with like a ground attack. I have to switch into Skarmory, hoping for a ground attack. Turns out he didn't go for a ground attack, he actually went for Outrage. That's very fucking dangerous too. Outrage is one hell of a powerful move, but Skarmory still takes it despite being a crit. I'm just thinking, okay, please do not get another crit next turn. My opponent has been getting crits quite a lot in this battle, so I'm thinking, okay, if he gets a crit, I'm dead. Skarmory, please don't. And luckily, he doesn't get a crit. and I'm able to get that roost. Turns out this is going to be a 3-turn outrage. My opponent is still on his 3rd outrage. He hasn't been confused just yet. That's pretty sweet because that just gives me another opportunity to go for a roost after his 3rd outrage. Outrage, obviously, you know, can be either 2 or 3 moves until you fall victim of confusion for like this instance. Went for another roost, just want to be safe, you know. We still don't know the entire moveset of this Krookodile. Now, he does hit himself in confusion, and actually he doesn't hit himself in confusion. Turns out he has swagger, and I guess he wants me to join him too. You know, his mentality is probably like, if I'm confused, you better be fucking confused too, Repel. But I did dodge that swagger. That's pretty sweet. And he did not intimidate my Skarmory, so my Skarmory actually has a very good chance to finish off this Krookodile. My opponent knows better than that. He actually has the motherfucking balls to go into Heracross. I mean, that's fine, you know. He's just gonna fodder off that Heracross so that he can bring in something fresh, something new. Fine by me. Down goes the Heracross. Mega Heracross looks really hilarious. He has like 2 balls for hands, but hey, or like 2 floaties. Anyways, Skarmory still clings on to health, and my opponent is gonna bring out the Goodra. Now this is the real Goodra, not the fake Zoroark Goodra. We already took care of the Zoroark, and obviously Goodra can learn Fire Blast or Flamethrower. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Or actually, even Thunderbolt. That's right. Goodra can learn all those 3 moves that can potentially harm me. Turns out he went for a Muddy Water. Despite that it's a water type move, that will actually still do a lot to you know, Skarmory. Now, sometimes Goodra is Sap Sipper, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're gooey. Regardless, I'm just gonna stay in and just go for a Leech Seed. If he wants to switch out, fine. But if I boost his attack, that's, you know, fine too, since he's poison. Luckily for me, this Goodra is not a Sap Sipping Goodra. That's really sweet. And he does go for that Dragon Pulse. But keep in mind, guys, Goodra now is not only Leech Seeded, but he's badly poisoned, and from this range, yes, this Toxic will finish off this Goodra. Down it goes. Oh, and thanks to my Venusaur, I no longer have Toxic Spikes on my feet. That's really sweet. Here comes the Krookodile. I believe it is my opponent's last and final Pokemon. It's very admirable for my opponent to keep the game going on like this. Give it all his best with that crunch, but my diabetes is motherfucking diabetes. He will ignore that crunch and retaliate back with a Giga Drain. Heal him back, and finally down goes the last Krookodile. So thank you, opponent Hitos. That was an amazing battle, lovely team. Totally dig the Zoroark, and not to mention 4 dark types. It's almost like a mono dark type team. It's really sweet. Give a huge thumbs up for Hitos. Make sure you guys also comment and subscribe. Thank you all for watching.